In this video, we'll be looking at the physical component of the OSEE GoStream Duet 8 ISO. Now, as I mentioned, this is an 8-channel switcher. Now, we will be able to look at the output and then the input. Okay, so this is how it's looking in my hand. As you can see, it still looks small. Okay, so you can actually put this in your bag. Now, let's look at the front here. So you have the logo here. You have these buttons here, which is the out source. Okay, now what it means is that you can actually decide what goes out through the HDMI or the SDI ports at the back. So this button is serving as a mini switcher. Then from there we have the sound, where you can assign whether you want the sound to come from input 1 to microphone. You can use this to set the sound. There is an knob here that you can use to turn the volume. Then we have the macro and then the scene. So we'll see how you can set this up. We also have here this knob for your menu. So you have menu, you have multi-view. So you can switch between 13 and 10 in multi-view interface. Then you have the player 1 and then the player 2. So for example, if you want to play a particular video from the player 1 folder or 2, you can select it and then you see the videos that you want to play, and then you use this knob to select the video, and then you can play it using the ones here. So you have the record button, we have the ISO button here, you have the play pause, so you can select player 1 or player 2 over here. You can do chroma, luma, picture in picture or pattern using the key over here. Then the disc 1 and 2 is over here. So once you want to go on air, you just select on air and you have it coming in. Then we have the streaming buttons. If you set up your streaming, that's the RTMP URL with the stream key. You can just press the live and you'll be live. Then we also have the program. So we have input 1 to 8. We also have the preview 1 to 8. Now look at this. We have the media player 1 and the media player 2 as the program, and then preview we have the same. We also have the multi-source here that you can use. Okay, then we have the function 1 and then 2. And when you come here, we have your transition effect. So you have cut, you have auto, then you have mix, wipe, deep, and preview. Traditionally, a lot of the switches normally come with a T-bar. I like the T-bar. Now, one thing that I use the T-bar for is I can fade in between two inputs and then gradually switch between them. It always looks nice, especially if you are doing a music program. You can switch between the drum and the person singing, and then you have it fading into each other very well. Okay, so this is the top if you put the switcher down. Now, when you come to the back, this is where we have our input and output. So we have mic 1, then mic 2. This is XLR port. Okay, so 1 and 2, XLR port, which is mic 1 and 2. You can connect your condenser or your dynamic mic over here. Then from there, we have the LAN port. So you can connect your internet through the LAN to be able to stream to your platform. Okay, I am praying that in the next device, we should have Wi-Fi connection. Then we have USB 1 and USB 2. So the USB 1 is the UVC, which is like the capture card. Okay, so it's having a capture capability. You connect your Type-C cable here, and then you connect it to your PC. Then for the second one, you can connect your SSD or your webcam over here. So this can actually take a webcam. Then we have mic 1 and 2, which is a 3.5 port. You can also convert this to a line. So if you are picking a sound from your mixer, you can convert this in the software or your menu. If you use your menu, you can convert it into LAN, and then you can use it if you are picking a sound from your mixer board. Then we have the power port here, which is 12 volts. One nice thing is you can see that it's able to lock. So if you have the cable, you just lock it. Then we come to HDMI ports that we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 HDMI ports and then 4 SDI. Okay. So this is making it 8. Then we have 2 output of the HDMI, so 2. Then for SDI, we have only 1. Okay, so you can actually send 2 different video feeds out, one from the HDMI, then one from the SDI. Then the one of the HDMI output can be your multi-view. Then we have a headset, okay, the 3.5 headset port here. If you want to listen to the sound that is coming in, this is what you use. Then we have the power button, so it's very small, you can use it. Now, if you come to the front here, you can see we have a port here where you can connect your SD card, okay? So they have the drawing of the SD card, how you're going to position it. Normally, when I'm doing it, I normally turn it upside down, but with this, I am able to do it correctly. Then when you come to the side, you can see the opening that is here for heat to be able to come out. So this will not heat. And then let's look at the down to, there's a fan. So this is how the device looks like physically. Okay, just look at this. And it's still small because I've seen a lot of 8-channel switches that are bigger, but look at this, they are able to bring everything together. You have HDMI and then SDI. Okay, so this is how it's looking like. Now in my next video, I will connect the switcher. Okay, I will connect the switcher, I'll give it a power, then I'll connect one camera, and then I will show you how you can configure this device using the menu on the device or the software.